In today's video, we're going to be discussing some recent points from Uncle Raoul and where we're at in the crypto market and deciding again whether you feel bearish or bullish and where to get your conviction from. So stay tuned.
Watching Bitcoin climb higher feels like watching a train leave without you, but it's not too late. At Drip2 BTC, you can grow your Bitcoin like never before. Earn up to 3,000% APR on credit conversions and discounts on Bitcoin purchases. Step 1, buy Bitcoin. Step 2, deposit it. Step 3, let your wallet do the work. Don't miss this chance to change your life. Start today at drip2btc.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. In the recent AMA, it's not really, I guess, an AMA with Raoul Pal, his Drinks with Raoul episode. I think he does this once a week, where he dives into the reports from the global macro investor and all the stuff on the GMI platform. And he just tries to bring some certainty into the markets. I always like to listen to him in regards to where things are at, because for once, I actually feel like I'm on the right side of this chart. So it's actually comforting to me to see that the markets are extremely, wouldn't call it extremely fearful, but last week they were extremely fearful. And the absolute lowest was just over 2 weeks ago, or just under 2 weeks ago. And I'm feeling good about accumulating Bitcoin and my portfolio and the way it looks. Versus last cycle, I was drinking the Kool-Aid and in shitcoin, ROI dApps, and cult communities. So I was buying the dip on stuff that I was like, oh, it's going to come back, it's going to come back. No, it's not. But in this case, I'm like, I get it now. So these are buying opportunities for the blue chips that will indeed rebound if you positioned your portfolio correctly and you have the right amount of risk. This is actually not as bad as it seems. Although crypto Twitter feels a little and looks a little like this. So there are still some people that are uncertain, but there are others that are in the similar to Raoul camp saying that we are on track, similar to the 2017 cycle. That's exactly what Raoul breaks down in this video. So I'm going to take his 57 minutes and try to get it to you in the next 10. So let's listen to that clip, or those clips.
Let's start. Sorry, just take a hit of nicotine before we go. Right. The Q4 tightening of financial conditions. What I have been saying for a long time now is the strength of the dollar. This is the dollar inverted in pink. The strength of the dollar after Trump got elected leads by 2 months the economy and financial conditions. As Trump was clearly going to start winning, the dollar started rallying. Oh my God, tariffs. Oh my God, whatever it was. And they started rallying the dollar, which is what happened in 2017. And what happens is it slows down global growth. The dollar is the most important input to all of global growth. And so the US Economic Surprises Index, the SESI, has been falling in line with this. Twitter, meanwhile, loses its collective shit and says, we're going into recession, it's terrible. Scott Bessent told us to. A, Scott was a Global Macro Investor subscriber for a long time. And B, it's not a fucking recession. It is a weak patch in data driven by financial conditions that tightened last quarter. If you look at it going forwards, on a forwards basis, it's been easing fast. So we will see the economy weak this quarter, and then it will start to strengthen from a weaker base. This is not a recession. Don't be ridiculous. This is what happened last time Trump got elected in 2017. Exactly the same reaction by financial markets and exactly the same outcome. Economic data weakened, the DXY had strengthened, then it began to weaken, and economic data followed it. And we got...
So I do not have the breadth of knowledge that Raoul has of doing this for 30 years, but I can look at charts and I can wrap my head around the analogies and the information he shares. And yeah, it makes perfect sense. So he's showing this chart. The one he showed previously was current, but this is from 2017. And this is exactly when Trump was in office previously. So the only black swan event that happened from 17 until now is the COVID crisis, but similar global financial market conditions. So you see here in June is when this bottomed out. And that could be around the same time this year. So like he's going to say later on in this video, it's not going to turn around immediately, but the DXY leads by 2 months. And in the previous clip here, you see that it already started trending upwards for June, right? So we're not there yet, but in theory, by the end of this quarter, we should be. So that's partly where I get my conviction. The rest is the way he explains all this and the amount of years of research that he's done.
Drives things like the ISM survey, or this is the services PMI. Services PMI was weak. Everyone's like, we're going into recession. The services PMI is weak. We're all fucked. Really, all it's doing is following the dollar. And the dollar is leading and says it will bounce. So it will bounce. And then crypto. Here's Bitcoin, 3 month on 3 month. Just reflects these financial conditions and the economic surprises. So the economy is weaker. Financial conditions were strong in the past. And Bitcoin has already priced in the entire thing. So the damage has been done. Okay, what's the good news in all of this? The good news is the financial conditions index, which is the dollar, rates, and oil, is rebounding like crazy. Strong conditions lay ahead. The economic surprises index is not finished going down yet. It will go down a bit further. Maybe the Fed will be able to cut in April or March. No, it's March now. April or May, whatever it is. Maybe they'll be able to sneak in a couple of cuts. If we see the Truflation index, inflation has been falling off a cliff. I think the Fed get cover to cut, which is what they want because they need to roll the debt. The everything code, you haven't seen it. A, ask the Raoul bot about it. B, watch the videos on it. They need to get rates down so they can roll the debt at roughly around trend rate of GDP growth. So they need to get interest rates down to 3% or lower. Guess what? The Fed today, where do they think interest rates will be? 3%. Where do they think economic growth will be? Around 3%. I've been saying this forever. This is the entire game. That's what they're trying to do. Economic surprises should be weaker. Then we're going to rebound on the back end. The next part of the year is going to be very strong. 2017, those of you remember, was an amazing year. And I think we'll see something very similar. Bitcoin priced in those financial conditions, which were leading by 3 months. Bitcoin's already priced it all in. So the worst news is in. My guess, probably up only. The chart you all care about that we came up with and every fucker in the world has copied. Global M2, 10-week lead versus Bitcoin. It's worked perfectly. I didn't expect it to be work as perfectly, but it is. But basically, we're turning the corner. And we should start to see higher prices. And the higher prices will come quick, and the higher prices should take us all the way back to the highs pretty soon. Not soon like in a week or two, but soon like in a couple of months. So I think what you've all had to go through is a boring sideways consolidation pattern with a slight down bias. Your alts have been nuked, but nothing out of the ordinary. We saw this in 2017. We've seen it now, and we are very, very close to the turnaround. So patience.
So me personally, I'm still in the camp that we might see a little lower before we go higher, just another retest. And I don't have any data on that. That's just mainly me hedging my bets and having buy orders in at those levels, just so that I can feel good if we do hit them. There's no economic data or crystal ball that I have that says that's going to happen. It's just the hedging of the bets based off of just looking at the volume I showed you guys that before. But in general, yeah, I do believe that as we move further into the year, and by the end of this quarter, well, technically it's still first quarter right now, right? So by the end of second quarter, we will see positive price action. I showed you that with Jack Mahler's talking about seeing us back above 110 by the end of May. And looking at the charts he showed, yeah, June as well. So I believe everything is pointing towards that based off of these other gurus that I follow. But to hedge my bets, I still have some buy orders in at the 77, 75, 72 level. I think those are my 3 buy orders because I do not believe we'll see the 60s again. But Raoul doesn't look at it that way. He just gives you kind of the big macro picture, and then you look at the direction and you make your decisions. Let's go to the next clip.
ISM, the business cycle. The business cycle drives crypto. The business cycle implies Bitcoin implied pricing is low versus where the ISM is right now. But when we start looking at this is going to get interesting for you. These are not projections. You morons who want to come troll me on X and saying, you told me this and I demand my money back. I'm not interested in you. I'm trying to give you contextualization. If we get to the 1 standard deviation level by the end of 2025, we're about 210,000. If we get to 2 standard deviations, it's 400, and it's about 800,000 if we get to 2 standard deviations. Now, we've hit 2 standard deviations every other time. Will we hit it this time around? I doubt it, but it's possible, right? What's the probabilities? I don't know. The probability of 210,000, I would say, is like 70%. 412,000 is like 40, 35%, 800,000, I don't know, 20%, 15%. But that's kind of the rough idea. And again, these are not predictions, they're contextualization. But when we look at the ISM pricing, ISM we know is bottoming. It is just coming up from 50. And if you see the ISM in black here, it's cyclical. That's why it's called the business cycle. And it tends to get to somewhere between 55 and 60 something. So at this point, well, we've got Trump, tax cuts, we've got tariffs, we've got a confusing picture, but at worst, it should get to about 56. 57.6, well, that will put Bitcoin up here, and that would put the ISM, if we got a full cycle, it would put it at 63. So those go back here. So only to get an ISM of 57.6, which would be very subdued, it would give us 412,000. If we were to see an ISM hit, let's go back to this one, hit 63, which is not uncommon, we get to 800,000. Okay, so you can now see the strength of the business cycle drives it. The strength of the business cycle has been driven always by the financial conditions beforehand. So when we look at the financial conditions, policy, liquidity, leading indicators, it's already saying that the ISM should get to 56.2. Let's go back to this. 56.2, well, that was this one, roughly. That's saying, well, financial conditions alone tell us we should be getting Bitcoin over, let's say, 300,000. Okay, now, is that my prediction? No, it's not a prediction. It's like a contextualization of understanding of how this could play out. Bitcoin ISM. So you can see this, the ISM above 50, which is where we've just started here. That is when we get the acceleration phase, the banana zone. Where's my fucking banana zone? You guys are morons. You're like worried about the next 2 weeks when what we're talking about is the process over a year. So the banana zone, we start the banana zone, we're in the corrective part of the banana zone, the phase one correction, then we go to the next bit. But this whole ISM above 50, a growing business cycle, is what drives it. Then when ISM peaks, is when crypto prices peak. We are nowhere near peaking. So we barely started. So you all need to relax. Again, the ISM leads altcoin season. Altcoin season is never going to happen again. All of these pundits on Twitter, it's only because of the ETF. We're never going to see altcoin season again. It's all utter fucking bullshit. It will happen. Okay.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, but TLDR is that based on ISM, and depending on how many deviations above that we go, you're looking at $200,000 to $800,000 Bitcoin. That is just insane. And then again, the other TLDR point too is that we are nowhere near the peak for this cycle. So everyone's screaming that the sky is falling, Chicken Little, and the bear market is here, blah, blah, blah. Remember, Bitcoin bottomed in the previous cycle at 15K. We are still at 80K. That is 5X, 5 and some change X from the bottom. We are still in a bull market. Like, it's so unbelievable to see people, you know, screaming from the rooftops. And I've even seen it in my group, that people don't believe that Bitcoin will go any higher and that we already peaked out. It's fascinating. So for me, it just doesn't benefit me to believe that, you know, we have capped out. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't benefit from that line of thinking. So let's just say that that was true. Then that would mean I would not be accumulating Bitcoin at these prices. I would just be sitting on the sidelines watching things happen. Whereas, let's say the opposite is true. Or let's say I don't buy anything, and then what happens is Bitcoin runs and you're kicking yourself that you missed out. And let's say everybody's right, or those few people are right, that Bitcoin has peaked out, you're buying right now, and Bitcoin continues to go lower. Well, if you're dollar cost averaging, continue to buy, like, it doesn't really matter. All you did was continue to accumulate at some higher prices right now, and you'll be fine once we do recover. Whereas for me, I'm in the camp with Raoul and others like Ash Crypto on X, that we still have, even Plan B was saying the same thing, we still have plenty of upside to go. And that's based off of these indicators like ISM and M2 money supply, all these other macro factors. And additionally, which makes this, to me, just like, you can't be bullish enough. Every previous cycle was driven by retail. Retail is what made the bull cycle run and peak and flow in line with the 4-year cycle of the actual money flow and how that works. You now have TradFi and institutions and nation states and governments all buying Bitcoin, like showing you transparently. That's not to mention the ones that aren't. And like the last video I did talking about what the Middle East is supposed to be doing, accumulating behind the scenes, but after the US makes its bid. So it's like anybody sitting on the sidelines thinking that it's over, it's like there's no benefit to that line of thinking, in my opinion. It's like you benefit better from saying that it's not over, so that you trick yourself into continuing to accumulate Bitcoin, and regardless of what happens, you're glad you did. Whereas if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking it's going to go lower and you're going to catch that dip, and if that never happens, then you just missed out on everything. So I just don't get it. Everything Raoul shows just points to bullish momentum coming soon. So we'll see how this plays out in June or whatever. By that time, like I said, by the end of the second quarter. And he goes in and talks even about smoking chicken fish. I haven't mentioned that in a while. I put in that $200 buy order, and definitely it has tanked substantially. And on the portfolio I created, it's still buying, I think $5 weekly. It hasn't been every week. I've been consistent with this, but it's always been the same 5% allocation. So this was so far, a typical meme pump and dump. But Raoul mentioned on this clip, I'm not going to play it, but he's like, it might come back. Meme seasons could still come back because you have the way the typical crypto money flow goes. So when all season, like you mentioned in here, runs, then it will go into some memes. What memes, we do not know. So he said maybe Lord Vishnu is cooked, or maybe it'll see another run. We will see. But that will be a great indicator to find out how this portfolio is played out, because it's continued to purchase or accumulate at different levels. Let's look at what the buy orders were. So you can see when it first started buying, $5 only got 78 smoking chicken fish. And then now it's gotten almost 1,000. So this will be a great indicator to see what happens with meme coins like this. Like, if you get lucky, so to speak, because it's not a great indicator for like all meme coins, obviously. This would just be like a lucky one. But if it's such a small part of your portfolio, then you don't have to worry about ruining your entire bag. So this portfolio for me is down 25%. And if it was in Bitcoin only, it'd be about -7% right now. So definitely being in Bitcoin only at this stage would have been better. But this is the risk you take trying to go further out on the risk curve. So it makes perfect sense. All right, hope that gave you some conviction or validated your concerns. Let me know what you guys think, where you're at in this cycle, how you feel about it. Bullish, bearish, uncertain, whatever that may be. Smash that HBO special, help brother out. Like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.